calling in right now is the general manager of the Minnesota Vikings, kind enough to take time out of his Monday, is none other than Rick Spielman. How are you, Rick?
Thanks for having me on. I'm sitting in the middle of our combine meetings, getting ready for next year's draft.
Is that right?
So, never end.
Wow, you're already locked in on that, huh, Rick? No kidding. That's quite something. Well, look, I hate to spoil your mood, but I just heard that Shannon Sharp plans to call one of your players on his show tomorrow. So I don't know if you heard any of that conversation to Julio Jones on today's Fox Sports World. Has that cracked your world? That is not cracked.
No,
All right. That's what we call a way homer.
I have not heard anything.
You'll get that joke later on when you hang up the phone and you'll find out. You ask your staff what's going on with Julio Jones. You'll find that out. So let's talk about your play.
Is Hagen doing something? Is Hayden making a trade?
No.
Hagen making a trade with Julio Jones I didn't know about?
No, I have no idea, man. But it is something that is in the ether right now. I've got an interesting question for you. What is it like to be in the same division building a team as your brother? What's that like, Rick?
Well, my brother's got a little different role than I do, but we still communicate almost every other day, more on just brother stuff. We know there's a line between what we do for a living and still being my closest friend and being able to talk family and everything else. But it'll be interesting. I know he joined last year. Our last game was up in Detroit last year, and he was on the sideline for the first time. But I know he's enjoying it up there. I know they've done a good job bringing in Brad Holmes, who I thought did an excellent job in the draft this year as their general manager. And Dan's a great leader of men. So I think they're going to be better, and they're going to get that program turned around.
In terms of your program, what was your goal going into this non-playing season, free agency and draft, and how did you attack it? What are you pleased with coming out of as we're entering Memorial Day weekend, Rick Spielman?
Well, it presented a lot of challenges, and for us especially with where our cap situation was, and being able to get under the cap because the cap went down. But still being able to fill our needs. And we really honed in free agency this year on the defensive side of the ball to try to build our defense back up. We were decimated with injuries and just didn't have enough talent on that side of the ball last year. So to go out and sign a Tomlinson and a Xavier Woods and a Patrick Peterson, Mackenzie Alexander. We needed to get some veterans on that side of the ball. And, I'm counting Michael Pierce coming that didn't play for us last year, Daniil Hunter. So I think, and then Anthony Barr missed most of the season, tearing his pec, I think, in the second week against Indianapolis. So to get all those guys back, hopefully we'll be a lot better on defense. That was our number one priority. And then filling in some needs that we were able to do in the draft, especially up on the offensive line. Getting a Christian Darrisaw where we got him in the first round, and Davis where we got him in the third round. So hopefully, I think everybody's excited about what they were able to accomplish this offseason, both in free agency and the draft. I know we started OTAs today, and we got a long way to go till we open up at Cincinnati. But feel pretty good about at least some of the talent that we were able to bring in and hopefully add to what we currently have.
Well, at least you don't have a head coach who's probably pushing you every 2 seconds to upgrade the defense. Hold on. I think I'm being told that it's probably the exact opposite, Rick.
No, I've heard about it since our last game of the season. So and it's still he's still out there yelling about it.
I'm sure.
But that's what makes him a great coach.
I bet. So let me pull on that salary cap string that you kind of pulled right there. Because, as I've been saying over and over again here on this show, that it's kind of like real estate, the salary cap, where you just assume it's going to go up, or knock on wood, your entire financial strategy in your own house is based on the fact that your house, if you're fortunate to own one or property or anything, the cost is just going to keep going up. And the cap is similar to that. And this year it goes down. When did you learn that? And how did that, what plans did you have that were essentially either confirmed or maybe sidetracked a little bit by the number that you got, Rick Spielman?
Well, I think it started, if you go back to last year when we did all of our contracts, we didn't know the cap was going to go down. So all the contracts that we put in place were assuming that the cap was going to go up, and we try to say it's going to go up X amount and try to be conservative on that number. And then when it swung down about $30 million the other way on us, we had to do a lot of tough decisions, business decisions to get underneath the cap. But also Rob Brzezinski did a great job creating enough room and cap space for us to be active in free agency. And I think you've seen, we did a lot of one-year deals. Tomlinson was a big sign for us because I knew going into the draft it wasn't going to be a real strong defensive tackle market this year in the draft. So we really honed in as that being our main signing to get a guy of that caliber in here along with Michael Pierce, which will definitely help, hopefully help our run game or our run defense, which was very average at best last year. So, but we were able to accomplish everything we wanted to accomplish and still get underneath the cap, although it did require us to make a lot of difficult decisions that we had to.
Well, and plus, you're one of the few general managers in the history of the NFL who pays a quarterback similar to a contract of like a starting pitcher in baseball, and so there's the issue or the construct that you have with Kirk Cousins. And so in that light, the drafting of Kellen Mond here, what do you expect out of this young man from Texas A&M, Rick?
We went into this draft and, we got a couple of young guys currently on our roster, Jake Browning and Nate Stanley, who are battling for the backup positions. We don't have a veteran backup quarterback. So we wanted to add another quarterback in this draft to come in and compete. And Kirk Cousins is our quarterback. He's going to be our quarterback I know for sure, the next 2 years. And it was an opportunity to get another young guy at a position that our coaches felt that they could develop. So the biggest thing is we don't know what we have yet, because last year we didn't get to see a Nate Stanley or Jake Browning in preseason, or even during these OTAs that we currently are having. So very excited to see one of these three young guys hopefully come up to the top and see which one ends up being our backup quarterback. But all three were excited about their potential.
Well, what did you like about this kid out of Texas A&M that says, let's use a third rounder?
Yeah, he was, if you watched him, where he started as a freshman and where he ended up, you just seen him progressively get better. Not only is he a very good athlete that has some arm talent, but also can make plays on his feet. And the one thing that really stuck out to us as we went through this process, he just got better and better through the season. I remember the first game I saw was against Florida, and he won a very close game down at Texas A&M, and I thought played very well in that game. He goes to North Carolina in the bowl game, beats North Carolina, who had a lot of talent on that roster, very talented roster with a lot of guys that did get drafted into the NFL. And then you've seen him take another step down at the Senior Bowl. I think ended up being an MVP down at the Senior Bowl, played very well in the game. And then our Andrew Janocko, our quarterback coach, went down there and worked him out at Pro Day and had an outstanding Pro Day workout. So the one thing that really stuck out about him is he continues to trend upward, where we try to compare these guys at any position. Are they trending up or down before they enter into the pre-draft process? And he continued to just check all the boxes and keep trending upward.
Rick Spielman here on the Rich Eisen Show. I asked this question of your colleague Brett Veach and other general managers who come on, so I'll throw this one by you. Do you think we'll ever see a time in the NFL where a first-round drafted quarterback is, despite a successful run after being drafted, essentially not given a fifth-year option and allowed to go elsewhere just because you don't want to give a quarterback a big nine-figure deal that might actually go with, if you will, and you just start again and draft somebody and try and win in your first iteration of a contract? Do you think we'll ever see something like that in the NFL, Rick Spielman?
I don't know that. I mean, that's a tough question. It depends on the individual and the quarterback. Everybody, I think, would hope that Brett Veach didn't exercise the option on Mahomes.
Yeah,
or
no,
extend
that's
him.
why I kind of asked him that question, Rick, since he's kind of on the other side of that. But I feel like, you just drafted a quarterback in the third round that you might hope to have a long-term future there, if not a longer-term future with your current veteran quarterback as well. That's why I'm kind of wondering if you ever see a team go and draft somebody in the first round, and instead of giving them the fifth-year option, just say, you know what, we're just not going to continue to keep on down this. We'll just start again. Kind of like college, in a way. If you ever see anything like
it depends on what comes out every year, and that is probably the hardest position to find, to get. And how many, when you go into a season every year and you look at your schedule, how many quarterbacks do you actually face that man, we have to really game plan around this guy, or this guy is unique. And there's not a lot of quarterbacks up in that upper tier echelon. I mean, we play against a pretty good one in our division, who I think is the best in the league. But when you get a quarterback like that and you draft one and he becomes an Aaron Rodgers or becomes a Tom Brady, you hope you're going to keep them, because if you got a guy of that caliber, that he's always going to give you a chance to get to the ultimate goal of winning a Super Bowl.
Okay, so I'll ask you one last question that I'm sure you're asked by everybody that you know and love, and people come across you, and you definitely don't have the answer to it, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Rick Spielman. With Justin Fields now coming into the Bears organization, and Andy Dalton being there, those are two first-year quarterbacks for the Bears there, right? The Lions just got Jared Goff. He's in his first year there. Do you think Kirk Cousins will be the most tenured NFC North quarterback to start a game in the division this year? Yes or no, Rick Spielman? What do you think?
I don't know. That's a hypothetical question, and that's hard for me to say.
What's your gut? So let me ask you this: are you getting that question literally everywhere you go in Minnesota? Do you think he's going to play? Do you get that question all the time?
Yeah, no. If I was on your side of the profession, I'd give you a professional opinion. What I do for a living, I got to say, I just got to worry about the Minnesota Vikings.
Ladies and gentlemen, well done, Rick Spielman. You just got you got your own house to deal with, right? You got your own. That's the only. All right, very good. But it is such a fact, like everybody's talking about it. You're getting asked that question all the time, though, right? All the time, people asking you that?
Yeah, people. Well, yeah, some people ask me that, and I just tell them the exact same answer. Only thing I can worry about is what we have here and how we get better from last year, and let's see what happens.
You got your own purple to deal with. How is Dalvin Cook, Rick? How is he?
He looks pretty good. Just watching him come in last week, and we have mostly all of our players here right now, and just watching him run around, I think he's one of the top running backs in the league, not only because of his ability to run, but what he does in a passing game and how explosive of a playmaker he is. But the one thing he doesn't get enough credit for is what he does in pass protection and how smart he is at picking up blitzes. So we're very, very fortunate to have a talent like a Dalvin Cook here.
And
that's what our offense is based off.
Sure.
It's based off being able to establish the run and then making plays in the passing game off play action. And I think that's why Kirk Cousins had such a great year last year, is because of that.
Well, is that Justin Jefferson calling you to remind you to talk about him too? Is that who that is on the other end of the line?
Yeah, they're listening down in the locker room right now. You better get through the rest of the roster real
Talk
quick.
about me too. Well, you struck it rich with him. That's for sure too. You've got a dynamic receiver running back combination. We're not even talking about Thielen either in that. So how prolific, and I know that you've got, again, a coach who wants to talk about running it and getting it back, getting in the end zone, taking time off, keeping the opposition off the field, and getting the defense back there fresh. I know that's the method there, but just how dynamic do you think this offense can be, Rick?
Well, I think we have a lot of playmakers on the offensive side of the ball, and we were fortunate enough to get Justin where we got him in a draft last year. I don't think anyone can predict, on how any of these rookies were going to perform last year because of not having an off season, having to shorten training camp, not having preseason games. And he didn't even start the first two games. Then once he got in the lineup, he showed what a dynamic playmaker that he can be. But having that type of talent at the receiver position, along with Thielen, and excited about which one of these young guys are going to surface up as our third receiver. But also, I think you're going to see Irv Smith really excel this year in this draft. And with us having to release Kyle Rudolph, who's now with the New York Giants, to see Irv Smith come into his own, and he made some plays. But I think we have enough talent and enough playmakers on the offensive side of the ball to give us a chance. And as much as people didn't talk about our offense, but we were fourth overall in offense last year. We were just not as good on defense as we have been in the past. So to get all those guys back on the field, to hopefully have upgraded our offensive line in the offseason, and to up the upgrades that we made on the defensive side of the ball, anticipating us being able to hopefully stay healthy and have a successful year.
All right, Rick, thanks for the time. Appreciate it. If you are going back into your combine meetings, know this: I'm going on the Phil Mickelson eating plan. TB12 being a fellow Michigan man, next year I might have to be on your draft board. So just keep an eye on that for next year.
Wasn't that incredible? Yeah, no, if you keep bringing your 40 down, you're etching up from the depths of their no grade to at least on the backboard of our draft board.
I appreciate that. There's things to shoot for. That's all I'm saying. You can just tell Zimmer, I won't fumble. I'll maintain possession. That's all he's looking for. It's just, and maybe we'll get you some points. That's what I'll do. That's all.
I think you should experience playing corner for Coach Zimmer and his defense. Everybody should have that experience.
No, I've been around Dion long enough. Who, by the way, Dion loves that man. He's like Zimmer's one of his favorite people. But I think I'll just stay where I am. I think I'm good. Thank you for the call, Rick. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks
again. Appreciate you having me on.
Thank you. Thanks for doing that. That's Rick Spielman, Minnesota Vikings GM. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.